This is an Empty Closet Radio podcast. Get more at facebook.com/emptyclosetradio.
Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sam.
And this is The Empty Closet.
The show for everyone, whether you're in the closet
Or out and proud. Or
somewhere in between.
.9 Coast FM, you're in The Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. This week on The Empty Closet, we are talking about science, which is something that we never talk about on the show, and politics, which is something that we never talk about on the show.
Also gay stuff.
Heaps of gay stuff.
Or more correctly, queer stuff or rainbow stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, whatever word you want to use for it. I don't take offense to most of the words that we use. But yes, lots and lots of LGBTI stuff coming up, including a few personal stories, as I like to give, which is about standard for all of our episodes.
Now, if you do want to catch up on any past episodes, or you just like to hear our voices, regardless of which one it is, you can look for our podcast. Just search for Empty Closet Radio on your favourite podcasting app. Hit the subscribe button, or you can find us on social media. Empty Closet Radio on the Big Blue Book of Faces. Hit the like button, or at emptycloset_AU, all lowercase, on the blue Tweety bird. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
Empty Closet Radio. Listen to us using your TuneIn radio app on your smartphone. Very smart.
.9 Coast FM, you're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. And Sam, this week there was some very interesting stuff happening in the High Court. And I say interesting because usually when someone says High Court to me, my eyes glaze over and I think, I wonder what's happening with the weather or anything else.
You think of butts and abs, let's be real.
My mind wanders to, we played a track a few weeks ago and the opening line was, I was busy thinking about boys. That's pretty much what happens to me. But in this instance, the case that was being heard was really, really important to me, and it's probably really important to most people in our community, because it is the case for whether or not we were going to have the marriage equality opinion survey / vote. I think we can call it a vote now, right?
It's still not a vote because it's not compulsory and it's not legally binding. It's an opinion survey. But anyway, it was specifically about whether the grounds on which it was challenged meant that it couldn't go forward. So it wasn't about whether it was ethical or anything like that. It was about whether the people who tried to stop it had the legal grounds to stop it.
Well, and also the people who started the work orders, more or less, for this to be carried out, had the authority to make the work orders.
In the way that they did.
Yeah. And so, unfortunately, the case got dismissed. It did go for 2 days, though. I was impressed. We held our breath for 2 whole days. I had my fingers crossed that it was going to get tossed out of court, that it was going to be, that they were going to find that it was not legal for them to do the survey in the way that they're doing it. But unfortunately, that is not what the case was.
And look, I followed it as it kind of happened, and I suspected that that was the way it was going to come out, just because the first day was for the people to present their arguments on why it was illegal. And they were questioned much, much more thoroughly and more harshly than the government was.
There's not like a live feed or anything, like you can't just watch a video of it. It's because it's a courtroom, right? So it's all just people writing little tweets and stuff on their phone.
Yeah, so you can follow in your preferred media outlet what's going on, but you can't, we're not America. We don't live stream our court cases. We don't turn it into TV shows like Judge Judy.
Judge Judy's awesome.
Yeah, but we don't do that here because it makes a farce of the whole system.
Yeah, Judge Judy would have some stern words in her mum voice for you. Judge Judy wouldn't let this case go forward. She would have been like, no. Unfortunately, Judge Judy is a TV show, not an actual courtroom, so it doesn't quite work how she works her courtroom. So anyway, I'm very disappointed that it is now full steam ahead, but we can't be moping for too long. We have to face forward, look at the onslaught of misleading advertising that's going to come our way, Sam. I can't wait to see what the Christian lobby is going to put forward. They've already had a couple of ads, of which have been torn apart by so many different memes on the internet. I love it.
The no vote, for those of you who maybe don't follow this as much as we do, is basically trying to make this out either as a free speech thing or like dragging in issues that have nothing to do with marriage.
Mostly being firstly the Safe Schools program, which is the program that teaches our young people about sexual identity and self-identity. That's being really brought up. But unfortunately, I don't know if anyone's told the ACL, but that legislation was already looked at in both houses of Parliament. It's probably a bit late for people to be voting based on that. And the second is about what could happen. It's like painting a picture of fear about, like, oh, well, where will it stop? Which is a dumb question, because actually, when you write the legislation, you know where it stops? It stops with gay people getting married.
Well, people marrying same-sex partnerships. Somebody put it really well. They said, because, people go, oh, this means that, such and such is going to marry his dog. Like, all that stupid fear-mongering that we've talked about, the ridiculous undercurrent that goes with it and the horrible picture it paints of heterosexual marriage. But, as someone said, they said, once we legislated that women had the right to vote, we didn't then give hamsters the right to vote. Like, there's still a thing of the ability to consent and sign a contract. Like, people aren't going to legally marry their houseplants because a tree can't sign a legally binding contract. Like, it's not possible.
But it can't at the moment, Sam. What if it becomes superhuman tree?
Well, I think they'll get the right to vote first, and then they might campaign for marriage. I don't know.
You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
I know that it's time, that it's real. Tangerine skies over roads, over fields.
Empty Closet Radio. Like us on Facebook.
You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. And Andrew has informed me I'm to say this. Andrew, your face is gay.
You ruined the theatre of radio.
Yeah, but I would never just say that. I have to clarify.
Well, I will clarify even further because it's a very scientific statement, actually, Sam. Sam, what is that you've got caught in your throat?
Passive aggressiveness.
So, Sam, I read an article about some researchers, real researchers, who decided to try and figure out whether a computer, because you know how everybody's all into this artificial intelligence stuff lately? Ever since they put Siri into your phone, they're like, what other stuff can we use artificial intelligence and a neural network for? So they've started like teaching computers to do all kinds of weird stuff. These researchers decided to try and teach a computer program to look at a photo of someone and try and pick whether they are straight or gay and measure how accurately they picked it, how accurate the computer program was, which personally I think is probably a little bit dangerous, but it's interesting research, if misleading. Did you have a look at the photos and read the article, Sam?
Look, I started reading the article and then I got really, really, really angry at how science gets misrepresented in the media for the sake of shocking headlines and attention grabbing, and I kind of had to stop.
Well, I actually am a fan of ridiculous articles, and so this was one that I actually read a little bit further on.
Well done. Now, one thing that it does specify is that it has to be white faces. I don't know if they mean you are 100% of Caucasian background or whether they mean you just appear white regardless of your racial heritage. Like, so not a lot of structural definition going on here, no scientific rigor.
Well, but okay, so basically what they did is they went onto these dating websites and they pulled like photos of people who labeled themselves as gay or labeled themselves as straight. Anyone who labeled themselves as bisexual or any other kind of sexual identity, they pretty much were like, no, too confusing for the computer program. We're like starting really basic. And all of the photos were like face on like front photos to try and make sure it was a fair analysis for the computer, basically making the rules easier for the computer. And then at the end of their research, they made pictures of what a heterosexual face looks like versus what a gay face looks like. It's hilarious. Did you know, Sam, that gay men are more likely to not have facial hair and they have a narrower jawline according to the computer?
I'm just still stuck on the fact that there's so much broken science at play here. So much broken science.
It's artificial intelligence, Sam. It's smarter than all of us.
Yes, but it's only smarter than all of us if you give it decent parameters. They're saying that it's high accuracy, but this is like the one where people are like, oh, gaydar is super accurate. And when you actually crunch the statistical evidence, like there's a wide margin for error that they're not really accounting for. Like they're calling more people gay than are, you know.
Yeah, well actually that is the truth. So when you actually scroll down and have a look at the actual raw data, the computer can actually only pick whether you're gay or straight within like 54% of the time. So it's like pretty much by chance.
Yeah, so that it's not at all accurate. And I'm also really, really irritated. Like, I know that they're like, let's simplify it because it'll make it easier, but it's still really irritating that they're not including people who identify as bisexual, people who identify as asexual, as questioning, as pan, you know, like any of the other titles, they've just kind of hit, you know, the G and the H, I guess.
But this is just like the first step in getting computers to try and do this. Like you have to learn to crawl before you can walk, right?
Well, yeah, but like that assumes that like that runs with the basis that it can be done. That's like asking computers to, you know, predict with absolute accuracy whether you're a red wine drinker or a white wine drinker, like by looking at your face. It's just as stupid.
I wonder what it would tell me. It would be like, neither, honey. Mm-hmm. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the empty closet with Andrew and Sam.
Oh, you need to slow it down, get on my mind. We got some catching up to do.
Empty Closet Radio, because no one else wants to be stuck in the closet. Gold.
101.9 Coast FM, you're in the empty closet with Andrew and Sam. Now, Sam, we were just talking about how science doesn't always, you know, science reporting sometimes goes for a flashy headline without, you know, too much detail until maybe the last paragraph where they say, by the way, this article is a load of crap.
Cough. Almost all the time, cough.
But then you were suggesting, you know, maybe with these algorithms that are, you know, trying to figure out whether somebody is gay or straight just purely from looking at their face, that maybe it doesn't take into account like different types of attractions.
Yeah, so aside from the aforementioned, the big two that immediately come to mind for me, which is bisexuality, or pansexuality, depending, and asexuality. But it also doesn't differentiate, and I think this is part of a broader lack of conversation in our community and out of the difference between romantic and sexual attraction. We always seem to tie the two together, that if you are romantically attracted to someone, you're interested in sex with them.
In my world, it's really weird. Like, I feel that a lot of gay men don't even talk about the romance anymore. like quite a lot of the things that are talked about is all about like the sexual attraction stuff, which is probably a pretty new phenomenon. Like, I don't remember, like when I was growing up at uni and stuff, I think the romance was still there, or maybe I was just more open to it. That could be an option as well.
Yeah, it depends which groups you move in. But also things like, for instance, I have a very good friend who is very, very bisexual, like probably a little more attracted. She's a woman, and she's probably a little more attracted to women than men sexually, but she's dated one woman because she so rarely is romantically attracted to them. That was really more of a sex-based relationship. She's almost hetero-romantic, but she's bisexual.
So when we talk about, like, how would you try and define the line between romance versus sexual attraction?
Okay, so the way I saw it put, because there's different kinds of attraction. So friendship attraction is I want to be friends with you. Romantic attraction is I want intimacy, I want to date you. Sexual attraction is I want to have sex with you. Aesthetic attraction is I want to draw you, paint you, admire you. So they're different. So you can be, you can want to have sex with someone, Andrew, and think they're a dickhead. Like, want nothing to do with them outside of the bedroom. So you have no romantic attraction to that person. You might not even have a friendly attraction to that person. You're only sexually attracted to them. Well, it goes the other way. People who are asexual, like there's this thing that asexuals may get, where someone goes, oh, so you don't date? And it's like, well, if I don't, it's because my partner demands sex and maybe they don't want to give it or whatever. But relationships without sex work fine. Like when you're 13 and you're not having sex, you might be at 13, but like if you're not having sex at 13, you can still want to hold hands with and kiss your partner and snuggle with them and get offended if they hold hands and kiss with someone else or whatever. Like it's different, even though sexual attraction may not be there, so it's valid then and it's valid when you're an adult.
Well, I think like when you're an adult, it just, that kind of, I would say more kind of like innocent interactions, they kind of get devalued a little bit because there's all these other more hypersexualized relationships, and we have lots of hypersexualized examples to choose from in our world. There's not like that many just purely romantic relationships that are held up as being amazing.
No, it's kind of looked down on, beyond the purity trope of, young women being, I'm going to wait till marriage, but it's still the payoff. Like it's the height of your relationship is consummating it, like we call it consummating it, like it makes the relationship something more special.
I'm rolling my eyes, Sam.
Rightly so, Andrew.
I can't believe that that's still a thing. But, that whole idea of like saving yourself, that has also been the butt of a million jokes in movies and pop culture as well. So I think people are doing it less and less.
Yeah, but it's not the butt of the joke because people are going, you don't have to have sex. They're saying, why aren't you having sex earlier? Like, it's not the butt of the joke because it's accumulating in sex. It's the butt of the joke because of abstinence. And so more and more we're kind of regarding an absence of sex as abnormal. And if you don't want it, that's weird, So we ignore that you can be romantically attracted to somebody without necessarily wanting to have sex with them. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
How to stop a waterfall when you feel a rush, little rush, you wanna hit it.
Empty Closet Radio, facebook.com/Empty Closet Radio.
Coast FM, you're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Now, Sam, yesterday I got out some paints that I haven't used for years, so I'm glad that they hadn't, dried up and died in the packing box.
We did have some issues. I was there.
Yeah, I know. You came around and you helped me paint rather large pieces of corflute, so like big pieces of that corrugated plastic stuff that all the politicians print their things on. There were no politicians printing their things on these though. We were painting our own artworks, weren't we?
We were making signs for the roadside to support the yes vote, basically. And we were like, we can't have the contentious rejected slogans.
Oh my God. So when we started this little project, because one of my friends, he was like, yeah, we should totally do this sign waving thing at the side of the road, like as people are going home, just so that, you know, we call a little bit of attention to the issue, show that it's important. And I'm like, hey, that's a cool idea. He's previously done it for like political parties and stuff, because he's a bit political. And he said, oh, you know, it works great. We get heaps of attention. I'm a bit concerned. I've never done anything like this. I know, being the shy, retiring wallflower that I am, it's surprising that I've never done anything like this.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm a little bit nervous. So I made one sign that was pretty basic. It was a little half circle rainbow that just said the word yes underneath. And I was like super proud of it. What did you think, Sam?
You did very well. It was very neat. I think you should have it as art in your home.
Well, maybe it will graduate to being art on my wall at home if we actually win this vote.
Yeah. So there were a few of us at your place. We were trying to come up with slogans, and some of the more contentious ones that I saw in the parades down south, we were like, we should avoid this. So the one that made me laugh the hardest, but I was like, we should never, ever, 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 ever use this in Cairns, said not gay as in happy, queer as in fuck you.
It was a good one. I did think for a minute there, I was like, I wonder if there's a place that we'd be able to get away with a sign like that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, probably not. Yeah, probably not. Have you ever done anything that's kind of like a vaguely, I feel like this is really naughty, what we're gonna do.
Why?
I don't know, like, most people have never, like, stood up for anything that's that important for them, and, like, you're really putting yourself out there. You're at the side of the road, like, people might, like, I don't know, yell at you or, like, throw eggs at you, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's potentially scary in the same way that door knocking and things like that are, although being near cars is probably scarier, but at the same time, being open is like that a little bit anyway. You know, it makes you a target.
Just for safety, I'm going to stand behind the bollard after that comment.
To change the thing, I'm going to read you some of the rejected slogans.
Oh, tell me more.
So, and I thought this one was something you would probably put in your house. Stop messing with my gay agenda.
Yeah, that's, you know, the wall that I painted, my feature wall, how it's that like turquoise colour, that's a primer for that sign.
I did enjoy, for the literary nerds out there, Pride Not Prejudice.
It is a pretty good one. Pretty good.
And this one we rejected not because we couldn't do it, but not because we didn't think it was appropriate, but because none of us had the skill to do it. On a beautiful rainbow background, they had silhouettes of Bert and Ernie, and then a same-sex street in the logo of Sesame Street. Today's word is yes.
Yes, I love it. Every episode of that show, they have a word of the day and a letter of the day, don't they?
They do.
Yeah, so I think maybe we should do that. Except maybe it's a misappropriation of the character.
I don't know. They shared a bedroom. Like, you know, you could say it's time.
Yeah, I don't know though. I don't think that the makers of the show have actually labelled those characters as being queer, have they?
No, but they haven't labelled them as straight either. Haha.
Oh my God, how can we have people without labels, Sam? What are we going to do?
Exactly. And let's be honest, if any show is going to be inclusive, it's Sesame Street.
It is, because they include giant birds that don't exist.
No one dies at a rainbow wedding with a Game of Thrones picture.
We're going to come back to these. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the empty closet with Andrew and Sam.
treat me like hair dye, then you leave me like a hair tie.
Empty Closet Radio, because no one wants to be stuck in the closet.
Are you ready to die?
101.9 Coast FM, you're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Sam, what other crazy signs did you find while we were listening to that track?
I just want to read one more because we do have something serious to talk about in this session. And somebody's drawn a really good picture of Jesus face palming, looking frustrated. And then it says in a quote, "Guys, I said I hate figs."
F-I-G-S. Lost in translation. Well, the more serious thing is, after we finished painting our signs, which I'm excited about getting to use, excited but a little bit worried about using them. After we'd painted our signs, I decided that maybe it was time to have a very important conversation that I have been putting off for quite a while now. And so I phoned Mum and Dad, and they were both home by some miracle. And I asked them about how they're going to vote, because this is really important to me. And do you know what they said?
What did they say?
So apparently, Mum says, well, I'm not allowed to vote, which is like her out for every single political conversation ever, which is true. She's not allowed to vote. She never became an Australian citizen. So maybe that's part of the plan.
She can still get married in Australia, though.
Yeah, she can, but she didn't. She got married in America.
Not the point.
And Dad was like, no, I'm not going to. And I was like, tell me why. Tell me what is the reason. And there's no reason. There's literally no logical argument that I could see, no structured argument, lots of emotional reasons, but no real structured analysis of the situation for the argument for the no debate. And it made me think about, maybe for some people, this is more than just allowing people to get married. Maybe this is partly about bringing people along in the journey of what are gay relationships actually? What is a same-sex relationship? Where are the commonalities between straight, opposite-gendered relationships? Because when I was talking with them, I think I uncovered a bit of misunderstanding. I was like, oh, you never read anything about the Kinsey scale or anything about maybe you're socialized to be straight when maybe you're probably bi, all of that kind of stuff. And I thought that I had talked to Mum and Dad about all of that for years, just pick a time, any time over the last 10 years, and I've probably been saying something about it. But no, complete misunderstanding about it, or non-acceptance of the science. And I wonder, how many other people do you reckon are in the same camp?
I think that people don't want to admit that there's no logical reason for them to feel the way they do, because if there's no logical reason, then they're in the wrong. And people don't want to be wrong. They don't want to be on the wrong side of history. So they don't want to feel like they're being hateful, like they're being discriminatory. There has to be a reason, in the same way that people who are racist may blame it on where they come from. I've just seen lots of this bad thing. You're still racist. You're still judging people based on race. I had a discussion a few years ago now with a really, really good friend of the family, who just doesn't think that gay people should be allowed to get married. Very religious. And I've got no problem with gay people, but I just think it's different. And I pushed and I pushed and I pushed. But why do you think that? But why do you think that? That doesn't make sense. Why do you think that? And eventually she got to, the church that she was part of. And I guess I just think it's less. And I said, okay, as long as you admit that to yourself. I said, that's fine, but you need to understand this is illogical. You feel that way, that's great, but there's no reason for it. You have no reason to feel this way. And she got really, really upset, but it's true. And it's a really hard conversation to have.
Yeah, I was like super confronted by it, and like I don't know, it was weird. It was really weird talking politics with my parents because they're usually very apolitical.
Because they can afford to be. And this is something broader that I think a lot of people miss. If you don't care about politics, it's because you feel it doesn't affect your life, which means you are privileged. Because if you have lots of money and you're the right colour, and maybe you're the right gender, you know, and you're the right religion, and you're the right sexuality, you know, all the political decisions that affect people who aren't all of those things don't matter to you. So you can be apolitical because you're at the top of the heap.
So I don't know whether I can recommend having really tough conversations with family members, but I think it was a good experience.
I think that anyone listening who's thinking about this, in the same way that people, you know, are thinking about, should I come out to my co-workers, my family, whoever, you need to do what's safe and comfortable for you to do. If you can't have those discussions, you know, for whatever reason, don't have them. Like, it's not... If you're not safe mentally, emotionally, physically to have that discussion, if you can't do it, that's not your fault. Like, it's as much as we do the hard labor to educate people, it actually isn't our responsibility. People should educate themselves. And the fact that people don't means that they have willful ignorance, but you shouldn't feel bad for not doing the work for them.
You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
There was something in the fallout. Ain't it funny how the wind blows? We give them something to talk about.
Empty Closet Radio, 9 p.m. Tuesdays, 101.9 Coast FM.
We are bodies in the night.
101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Now, Sam, we are doing this sign waving thing that we were talking about. We're also in the campaign for the, like, please vote yes. There's no guessing which way I would love for this vote to go. Imagine if it turns out to a no, though. Won't that be devastating?
Well, then we'll rightly say this has been set up to fail because, hey, it's been set up to fail. Like,
I have this theory that if it's a no vote, the government's going to have like a landslide at the next election because suddenly they got all these young people enrolled to vote, who are probably going to disapprove of what's happened. And voting's compulsory in a real election.
yeah, exactly. Like, it was a stupid move for them. Let's be real.
Yeah, I reckon dumb move anyway. But, needless to say, if you're interested in getting involved with the whole idea for Yes campaign, please get in touch with us. You can do so on any of the social networks. Just search for Empty Closet Radio. You'll be able to send us a message or send us a tweet or whatever it is. And we'll get you some information about how you can get involved. And, you know, you can come and stand next to me while we play the Empty Closet in the background and, you know, wave signs at the side of the road. But there's also, if sign waving is not your big deal, you can get involved with calling people. So they've assembled a list of people who are, they call them like warm people. So they're people who are like warm to the idea of gay people being able to vote, but maybe we just need to call them and give them.
Get married. Gay people can vote.
Oh, goodness me. I get so confused. The word vote gets used for incorrectly all the time these days though, Sam. No, so it's like a phone project. So you go and you get connected to talk to someone and you have talked to them about, if you would like to vote yes, this is the best way to do it. And it's basically like when the form comes in the mail, make sure you fill it out, and send it back on the day that you get it to make sure that your voice counts. So there's 2 sessions when you can actually go along and do this. The first one's coming up this Thursday, and that's at 5:30 p.m. And it's at the Labor office here in Cairns. It's on Mulgrave Road. And the second one is slightly less, if political spaces are not your thing, which for me, I'm actually hesitant about it. I think political spaces are not my thing. But if you want to come and do something similar at a community space, the Queensland AIDS Council office on Saturday during the day from 11 a.m, we're going to have people there, doing the same thing. So phoning people, having a chat, talking about the upcoming vote, and how they can get involved. And we're all going to do it together because there might be some people that get angry about it, and we're going to be there to support each other. So, they are two ways that you can get involved. Now, aside from all that, there's one other event that's coming up in our calendars, and it's on Wednesday night. Wednesday night, the Green Ant Cantina from 6:30 p.m. There is a forum, and this forum is all about PrEP. PrEP is that miracle drug. Oh, no, I shouldn't say it's a miracle drug. It's a treatment that is a once-a-day tablet. It stops you from contracting HIV. And they're running a forum for people to have their say and share their stories. They've got a few guest speakers. I know they've got someone flying up from Sydney to talk. It's going to be really, really exciting. So if you can get along to it, that's at the Green Ant Cantina. And if you want more information on that one, contact QAC, the Queensland AIDS Council. Their head office is in Draper Street, and you'll be able to find them if you just, look on our page for 5 seconds.
If you've been in Cairns a long time, it's the old KFC building near Five Ways.
Well, there you go. Great directions. Using a landmark name that doesn't exist anymore.
As I said, if you've been in Cairns a long time, that's how you'll know the building.
5 Ways. I can't believe it. Which one of those 5 corners is mine, Sam?
You don't live in Five Ways anymore, Andrew.
Anyway, so that's all that's coming up. We hope to see you there. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
If you're gonna save the day, and you're hearing what I say,
Empty Closet Radio. Follow us on Twitter.
You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. That is all we have time for this week. If you do want to catch up with any past episodes, check out the podcast. Just search for Empty Closet Radio. Hit the subscribe button on your favourite podcasting app. You can also catch up with us on social media, the big blue book of faces, Empty Closet Radio, and hit the like button. And on the blue Tweety bird, it's at emptycloset_AU, all lowercase. You are on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
Thanks for listening to The Empty Closet, brought to you by 1019 Coast FM Cairns.